Summary of the 4 Disciplines of Execution by Chris McChesney. Introduction. Every New Year's Eve, we promise bravely to transform our lives. We become members of gyms and intend to get the shape we want. However, around February, we are the same gym shy as we were in December. What is the reason? Well, since we are not successful in execution. This is alike for firms as well. Being capable of transformation is the key to success for firms. However, transformation necessitates execution. How to do that? As we will see in the following, there are 4 disciplines you need to comply with to advance your execution and attain your purposes. When you master building these points in your firm, your most significant aims will be obvious, and you will be successful in one of the most challenging things: altering people's attitudes. Lesson number 1. Transforming people is the real hardship of executing strategic aims. Transformations are nice, specifically from a business viewpoint. The reasons? Because if you're not constantly recuperating, you're creating a chance for your competitors to step in. Avoiding from may be a big difficulty. And therefore the reasons are: although there are many potential growth strategies, there are just 2 methods for the execution of those strategies: with a scratch of a pen or by altering people's attitudes. Certainly, stroke of the pen activities are simple for executives. They only sign a paper and leave the work to others. However, these are often quick-fix activities. Permanent transformation, however, necessitates people to vary their attitude. This is often the rationale why the bulk of the executives lack nothing unexpected. Anybody who ever quit smoking or followed a dietary plan will come across transformations are challenging. And these instances are almost transforming yourself. Transforming others is even more challenging. Your employees might not grasp the firm's aim, or have a pointy perception of how transforming their attitudes would assist in achieving the aim. Or else, they only don't care. When you check out at first, it's going to appear as if you'll solve these issues in simple ways. You just elaborate firm aims to a paper, be exact about the responsibilities of every individual, and expel anybody who doesn't care. However, the most issue is far more complicated. All of those issues are named the whirlwind. Authors utilize this word to elucidate the everyday tasks that consume some time and dry up creative energy. The whirlwind is the greatest enemy of transformation. Think spending an hour convincing someone to rework something, and at an equivalent time, they need 10 critical things that require to be tackled immediately in their heads. Even though it's hard, you'll attain key strategic aims no matter the whirlwind. By learning the 4 disciplines of execution, it'll become simple to you. We'll study those within the following lines. Lesson number 2. Concentrating on definite, critically significant aims is the first discipline of execution. The first discipline of execution: concentrate only on the items that matter. Of course, there's an instinctive figure for doing more. The bulk of executives are overachievers, and since of that, they're especially motivated to figure for doing more. However, the more you're employed to try to do, the less you'll consider and work on personal tasks. If you'd wish to achieve success in something special, you want to specialize in it. Therefore, your strategy must put first 1 or 2 wildly important goals, WIGs, that you simply can follow, albeit there's a whirlwind. Reducing costs by 20% by the year end could also be a sample to a WIG. However, there's how to supply these goals. WIGs got to be exact and influence group efficiency enormously. Specificity is extremely important, since a WIG shouldn't be considered as a vision or a mission statement. Instead, it means defining a particular aim that everybody will attempt to achieve. To grasp the explanations for specificity to be strong, hear this tale. NASA, in 1958, defined its purpose vaguely as enhancing human knowledge of phenomena within the atmosphere and space. However, in 1961, that was altered when President John F. Kennedy publicly invited the organization to send a person to the moon and convey him back securely to Earth before the last decade ends. This was an example of how a particular aim and date enabled Armstrong to travel to the moon July 21, 1969. The NASA case shows us that defining an impactful WIG is of utmost importance. Nobody would really like to waste blood, sweat, and tears on things that don't transform things in your firm. Lesson number 3. The second discipline of execution is achieving your aims by selecting measures that mirror today's attitude. We read within the previous chapter that we'd like to consider attaining wildly crucial aims. To form it happen, we'd like to specialize in measures which will assist us to victory, not measures that make us pessimistic once we cannot fulfill them. This is simpler to utter than make because the bulk of individuals often consider lag measures. The lag measures mirror past performance and demonstrate our place compared to our aim. Profit margins and customer satisfaction rankings exemplify them. Even though that specialize in these measures is inherent, it doesn't completely allow us to achieve our aim. The thing is, these measures mirror past occasions we cannot transform anymore, which is the reason why observing them is discouraging for us. For example, imagine you would like to urge slimmer. Not weighing yourself and evaluating the result until the top of the month isn't an excellent idea. You'd feel bad if you are doing not reach your aim. Furthermore, at that point, you'd be late to require action. Everybody knows that the thanks to get slimmer includes fewer fast food and more movement. However, acknowledging and acting are different from one another. You'd be more likely to pursue your aim once you measure and observe lead measures, because these measures demonstrate whether your actions are useful for your aim or not. Lesson number 4. Inspire your group by saving scores on their performance, which is the third discipline of execution. According to the initial 2 disciplines, we determined our wildly important goal, and which measures will play a task in achieving it. The third discipline is assisting your personnel accompany the aim, therefore, inspiring them to achieve it. Regarding, you would like to save lots of many group member performances. Doing this is able to make performance better since everybody likes victory. People also are attracted directly when there's something to win. Therefore, saving scores may be a method to achieve that serious energy and determination. For example, once you check out children playing football outside, you most likely can immediately understand their counting scores. How they cheer with touchdowns is enough to tell. This is the rationale for your group to create a scoreboard, counting every member's progression towards the wildly important goal. Regardless of if it's a contemporary digital application or an old-fashioned chalkboard, the aim is to demonstrate to everybody their performance. You need to form certain that your scoreboard is understandable and straightforward for group members to handle by themselves because the aim of the scoreboard is motivation. You ought to also put lead and lag measures on the scoreboard additionally to the requisite information about the aspired position and therefore the current position of the group. When these are placed, every group member must be ready to understand whether or not they are getting to a victory or a failure. Imagine that a wildly important goal of yours is rising production by 20% by the year end. To achieve that aim, your group must raise production by 5% monthly. The scoreboard has got to demonstrate lag and lead measures linked to the present particular aim in order that your group would grasp their real performance. Lesson number 5. The fourth discipline of execution is developing a culture of accountability. In the third discipline, we studied the ways to inspire employees to accompany your wildly important goals. However, the fourth discipline is the most vital one for the method of execution. It's taking people to sustained commitment to the aim. To achieve this, your staff should be accountable to every other. Being accountable just to you isn't enough. Nobody would really like to let their counterparts down, so employees would obtain more feeling of responsibility if they ought to answer their peers also. This is the rationale why meeting for WIGs will enable a sustained commitment to the aims. These meetings should involve 1. A summary of the commitments made the previous week, 2. An evaluation of the scorecard, and 3. A scheme for next week. These gatherings will ensure stable advancement toward the WIG, because every group member are going to be liable for developing and satisfying weekly commitments which will influence the lead measures. It is significant to let employees select their commitments themselves in order that they might be connected with the method. Because the leader of the group, your job is to form certain that commitments are precise and directly attached to the WIG. Town Park, a valet parking services firm, perfectly exemplifies the way this functions. Once they followed the 4 disciplines method, group leaders determined the WIG of raising the satisfaction of consumers. Regarding this, they defined decreasing retrieval time, in other words, the time spent for the valet handy over a car after a customer involves it, as a big lead measure. By concentrating on this measure, the valets acknowledged an ingenious way. Once they expected a customer would call soon, they might turn the cars forward from the rear of the parking zone. All because of the 4 disciplines. However, it's not that easy. It requires real work and commitment to use them within the workplace. Still understand more. Lesson number 6. To apply WIGs and choose on beneficial predictive measures, pursue a step-by-step procedure. Placing the 4 disciplines within the workplace could be challenging at the start, however, it's worthwhile. To put the primary discipline, determining a WIG, only pursue the 4 simple steps. The first step is to gather many ideas. Ask leaders and employees to make certain that you simply have reached an enormous amount of data that might be sufficient. The second step is rating these ideas consistent with the influence they might make on the WIG generally. The third step is to look at your ideas to be sure that they're parallel to your WIG generally. The restaurant within the case above could have erroneously determined their secondary WIG as enhancing their restaurant menu, however, that might not help them increase profits. That's why examining your WIGs is extremely significant. Finally, determine a simple and sharp description of your aim. Preferably, you'd start with a verb and continue by determining the lag measure, a deliverable, and a finishing date. For example, decrease a verb, manufacturing costs, a lag measure, from $20 to $15 million, a deliverable by the 31st of December, a finishing date. You can pursue these identical steps to settle on your lead measures, so you'll also apply the second discipline. Always remeasuring and examining the lead measures is specifically beneficial, so being certain that they're predictive, certain, and accessible. Lesson number 7. Keep presenting a scoreboard and developing a cycle of accountability. As we learned above, we can pursue some basic steps to place the first and the second disciplines. You cannot place the third and the fourth disciplines with such a systematic tidiness, however, somehow a plan is needed. Begin with the third discipline. Creating a scoreboard necessitates less participation of you than the other steps. You just need to find the preliminary theme, a speed indicator, a graph, or something completely different. Afterward, leave the scoreboard to the group for designing and developing it. In this way, they will perceive that they are attached to the process more. Do not forget to state to them that a great scoreboard needs to have only the vital information, the aim and the lead and lag measures. When the board is ready, assign somebody to make it up to date regularly. Now, let's move on to the fourth discipline. Placing a culture of accountability necessitates you to tone an example for your group. This is a significant step. The fourth discipline is the most important one for execution, but a challenging one as well since it necessitates real commitment and devotion. Recall, when you determine a weekly meeting, you need to participate every time. Begin the meeting by notifying staffers about your commitments to demonstrate that there is nothing to fear of. Afterward, make certain to look at and talk about the scoreboard and congratulate every achievement. Do not forget that the whirlwind is not the topic of the WIG meeting. Make certain that you will only talk about wigs. All group members who fail to satisfy their WIG commitments due to the whirlwind should be held accountable. When they fail to satisfy a commitment, you need to go about it with respect. Make the employee know that you care about their work, however. Tell them that it is very important for the entire group to pursue their WIG commitments. Give them another opportunity to pull up with their commitment. Lesson number 8. To include all groups in the 4 disciplines model, pursue a 6-step process. If you desire to apply the 4 disciplines at a big company with 10+ distinct departments, be certain that you plan meticulously. This process requires 6 steps. The first step is Lesson number 8. Lesson number 8. To include all groups in the 4 disciplines model, pursue a 6-step process. If you desire to apply the 4 disciplines at a big company with 10+ distinct departments, be certain that you plan meticulously. This process requires 6 steps. The first step is sharply determining your general primary wildly important goal. The second step is to include the group leaders. Every department leader needs to identify a wildly important goal and convenient measures that suits the general WIG. As the corporation head, you can reject some goals that look unsuitable with the corporation's aims in general. However, be certain that every leader is free to select their wildly important goals. Else, you cannot achieve the level of participation you seek for. In the third step, you meet with the group leaders to make sure that they learned well about the 4 disciplines model. You need to do it for them to apply this method in their departments. Fourthly, every group leader proceeds and starts the process in their group. They need to take feedback and be sure that the department accepts continuing on the WIGs and lead measures. Fifthly, every group works on improving the method. Preferably, department leaders need to get further mentoring on the process for a minimum of 3 months. Finally, conclude everything by putting quarterly meetings with every group head to talk about the advancement achieved together as a corporation. Yes, that is it. You have applied a process that enables you to attain your aims and execute your vision. Final summary. There are 2 sources while selecting a wildly important goal: everything inside the whirlwind and everything outside the whirlwind. A wildly important goal that is chosen from the whirlwind can be things that should be fixed urgently or things your team is already good at and requires to utilize as leverage. Outside the whirlwind, you generally select from things that allow you to obtain a strategic advantage, such as adding new product features. Hey, thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe because more incredible content is on the way.
Did you like this audiobook summary? Click the like button now to support our channel and click subscribe if you want to get notified each time we post a new free audiobook summary on YouTube.